I'm really starting to feel it, man. I'm starting to feel the cycle of trade rumors and ideas getting tossed around there like crazy. It's like Halloween, but these trade rumors are the candy being left out on the porch in a big bowl for all of us to come out here, walk up, and just grab a handful of. Even though the sign says take one only, even though it goes against all of our ethics and morals to take multiple pieces of candy, we're going out there and doing it anyway. And we're kicking off today's show by going over an idea that really diverges from the common idea that's always tossed around in regards to this player. Of course, you know from the title, you know from the thumbnail, you know the teams involved and the player we're talking about. And this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, even though everybody says the same thing, that this player is going to one team, we still have an opportunity to go over the idea of him going to another team. So, let's head over onto the Winnipeg Sun, because what we have is a piece published by Scott Billeck from June 3rd, so 2 days ago. It's a 4-minute read, and it goes over how the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade to Montreal isn't the only option that GM Kevin Cheveldayoff has. We're going over Pierre-Luc Dubois, folks, and I guess at this point we don't really need to go over the entire scouting report thing. We all know who Dubois is. He's 24 years old. He's a pretty big dude. He's a capable two-way center, and last season he was a pretty good player, 63 points in 73 games played. He's an RFA right now, and all speculation says that he's going to sign a short-term deal with whatever team it is he's on to start 23-24, and then some way or another he'll find himself playing for the Canadiens. That has been the idea everybody has tossed around there and cemented in their heads at this point. It's been like that for about a year. But this article goes over how there are some other teams that could very well be the short-term destination for Dubois. Even if it's not the long-term choice, there are some other teams that are in the picture, and Scott Billeck goes out there and writes about them. Forever, it seems the speculation has been that Pierre-Luc Dubois would return home to play with the Habs. It's entirely possible that it's still the endgame here, but the Jets have more options at their disposal than to force a trade to Montreal. If the Jets can't work out a long-term extension with the 24-year-old, then we'd expect to see several suitors for his services, especially on a one-year deal for a team loading up for a cup run. This is where the different teams come in. There are talks about the Canadiens, the Avalanche, a few other teams here, especially towards the end, but what I wanted to focus on, written by Billeck over here, is the New York Rangers. Because this is a team that had themselves a very good season. They were one of the better squads. They had a very good trade deadline. They improved their team tenfold. But in the postseason, they kind of got embarrassed by New Jersey in Game 7. They ended up not making it past the first round. And if you're a team like New York that wants to go out there and come back next season with a vengeance, prove to everybody that the Eastern Conference Finals appearance they had last year was not a fluke, and that they have it in them to repeat, maybe a one-year show-me year with Pierre-Luc Dubois isn't all that bad. If you go over to the article, it reads this: Dubois likes the lifestyle New York offers, having vacationed there a couple of times during his times with the Jets. The Rangers, meanwhile, are in win-now mode and will be for the next couple of seasons. There's room here to add him for a single year, but a long-term contract would require the Rangers to move a contract out, with a number of players needing to get paid this summer, including K'Andre Miller. New York has just 14 players signed for next season. This is where the article gets very, very spicy, and it's part of the reason we're making this entire video in the first place. Who should the Winnipeg Jets target from the Rangers? Defenseman Braden Schneider is who Scott Billeck labels as the target here. He's got one more year left on his ELC and will be an RFA next summer. More importantly, he's a big right-handed defenseman that the Jets lack long-term. Schneider, the former Brandon Wheat King, is 21. K'Andre Miller, an RFA, would also be a great target, but it's unlikely the Rangers want to move him. Schneider and a pick? Or Braden Schneider plus Philip Cheadle with the Jets moving Ville Heinola? Cheadle is 23 and has 4 years left in his current contract at 4.4 AAV. Now, that's a really spicy idea. But if we wanted to go just talking about the main topic here, Braden Schneider for Pierre-Luc Dubois, not one-for-one necessarily, but just kind of as a framework here, Pierre-Luc Dubois is a guy whose value, I feel, is still good. Like, he's definitely a talented player, and everybody knows that he can provide value for the 1 year that he'll likely re-sign for whatever team it is he's on. But that doesn't change the fact that he's not going to be signing long-term with any other team other than Montreal, which means that if you're trading for Dubois, you're only really trading for, at most, 2 years for him, more likely 1 year. So if the Rangers are going to go out there and say, okay, this is not a guy who should demand the moon and the stars. He's a good player, 60, 65, 70 maybe points even in a season, but it's only 1 year. So if we want to sacrifice a longer-term piece for 1 year of a very good player, maybe Braden Schneider is the guy? Of course, it'd be difficult to justify getting rid of him, but if you were to force that long-term versus short-term priority, maybe Braden Schneider is not all too bad of a piece. He's 21 years old, as we had said, 6'3", 209, right-handed defenseman who had 18 points in 81 New York Rangers games this previous season. He was never really supposed to be this big numbers guy, a top-of-the-line point producer. Even in the WHL, it wasn't until his overager year where he had 27 points in 22 games played. He looked very good. He was a strong two-way defenseman with excellent mobility, excellent decision-making, and it's why a lot of Rangers fans got super hyped for him. But you didn't draft this guy, nor did you put him into your lineup expecting him to maybe get 50 points in a season one day. You're going to get more production out of guys like Adam Fox. You're going to get more production out of other players in your lineup. Maybe K'Andre Miller has a career year that is out of this world spectacular. But for Braden Schneider, just as a physical two-way defenseman who does really good work in his own zone, he's a valuable guy, but he may not ever get like 60 points in an NHL year, just to throw out a number there. And so, after the sample you have seen out of Schneider, the past 2-3 seasons worth of play in Brandon and in the NHL, if you're a Rangers fan, what are your thoughts about the idea of trading this guy away for 1 year of PLD? We already read the article's point of view as to why the Jets would want to do this, and I think a lot of Jets fans on the cusp of rebuilding your team, thinking about Hellebuck and Dubois and Scheifele trading these guys away, I don't think any of y'all would say no to acquiring a top 4 potential defenseman like Braden Schneider could be. So, if it's the Rangers' point of view, that's the reason we're making this video, because I want to see what the Rangers fans have to say on this idea of trading Schneider away. I know y'all have had a really good time just watching him develop and seeing what it is that he's been able to do. I remember all the JT Miller trade talks from earlier last year, where y'all were like, yeah, no, we're not trading away Schneider for Miller. Hold on to your horses, because this is a guy who's going to stay. But you didn't end up trading him anyway. He's still on your team, and now, instead of talking about JT Miller, we're talking about 1 season's worth of PLD. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Rangers fan, what are your opinions about trading away Braden Schneider for Pierre-Luc Dubois? If you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, what are your thoughts on the idea of trading away Dubois for this type of a package? It's probably better than losing out on Dubois for nothing, right? Next season, you're not able to re-sign the guy to an extension, you don't trade him away, and then he goes to free agency and signs with Montreal or whatever. Like, you're probably better off getting something of value in a Pierre-Luc Dubois is leaving situation. So if it's Braden Schneider, what says you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Also, the article is going to be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read what it is the writer writes about with other teams. And bye.